She said it casually, like it was nothing. Relax, babe. You're kind of the cute punchline in my group. We joke about you all the time. She was wiping off her lipstick in the hallway mirror, heels already on. Hair in those loose waves she knew looked expensive. She said it the way someone mentions the weather, not like a wife talking about her husband. I just stood there, keys in my hand, watching her laugh at her own words. Her phone buzzed. A notification from her group chat lit up the screen. Tell him the story. She smirked, snatched the phone, turned it face down, and walked out with a "Don't wait up." That's when the sentence hit me. Punchline. I didn't say anything. I just watched the door close. There's a special kind of silence that fills a house when the person who should respect you the most laughs at you behind your back. And I should have known. I should have felt something was off weeks earlier when she suddenly became busy with these Friday wine nights. When she kept her phone upside down. When her giggles turned into whispered conversations in the kitchen. But this, calling me the punchline? That was the first time she said the quiet part out loud. And if you've been through something like this, once they stop hiding their disrespect, the truth is already on the table, just not spoken yet. She made me the joke, but she forgot who wrote the setup. If you want more stories like this, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Later that night, the house felt too still. I tried to watch TV, tried to distract myself, but every few minutes I would hear echoes of her laugh saying that line again and again. Punchline. That's what she thought of me. Around midnight I went to bed, but I couldn't sleep. My brain kept replaying the last few months like a bad movie. The nights she'd come home slightly tipsy, overly affectionate at the doorway but cold the moment she stepped inside. The sudden password change on her phone. The weekly venting sessions with her friend Leah, who always looked at me like she knew a joke I didn't. It wasn't just suspicion. It was humiliation blooming in slow motion. I finally got up, walked to the kitchen, poured myself some water, and that's when I saw her tablet charging on the counter. She had started using it again because her phone storage was full. She forgot it synced. I stared at the screen like it was Pandora's box. A normal man would walk away. A tired man would shrug and sleep. But a man who's been called a punchline? He taps the screen. I opened the messages. And within seconds, I realized I had never been the punchline. I was the whole storyline, and not in the way a husband should be. I didn't breathe for a few seconds. I didn't move. I just kept scrolling, letting everything I thought I knew about my wife evaporate in front of me. And this wasn't just flirtation or some emotional nonsense people try to excuse. This was real. This was physical. This was planned. Dates, locations, inside jokes about me, pictures. And the worst part? Her friends cheering her on, enabling everything, treating me like some clueless extra in my own marriage. They weren't just laughing at me. They were helping her build the comedy routine. I closed the tablet. The tap of the case shutting felt like a door slamming in my face. For the first time in our marriage, I felt something stronger than anger. I felt clarity. The kind of clarity that hits a man when the respect is gone, the trust is gone, and the joke, finally, is not on him anymore. Because once a man stops being blind, he stops being predictable. And once he stops being predictable, he becomes dangerous in a very calm way. The pieces were already moving. She just didn't know it yet. I didn't sleep at all that night. I waited until her breathing settled into that deep, careless rhythm. The kind someone has only when they feel completely safe. Safe from consequences. Safe from truth. Safe from the idea that the man lying next to them might not tolerate the game anymore. Around 3 a.m., I eased myself out of bed, careful not to wake her. She mumbled something, rolled over, and clutched her phone to her chest even in her sleep. That told me everything about her priorities right there. I didn't try taking it. I didn't need it yet. I went downstairs, turned on the kitchen light, and sat with my laptop. For months I had ignored the red flags. Late nights, sudden gym routines, weekend errands. The new lingerie I never saw her wear for me. I convinced myself marriage goes through phases. People get distant. Work gets stressful. But no amount of stress explains whispering "good night, babe" to someone else in your bathroom. I opened my banking apps and stared at our joint accounts. She didn't know I had created a separate primary account a year ago when we refinanced the house. Some instinct told me to. While she slept upstairs, I quietly transferred every dollar I had earned into that protected account. Her access cards? I disabled them. The credit card she used for her girls' nights? Frozen. The shared savings she kept dipping into for self-care? Locked. I wasn't taking her money, I was taking mine back. Then I logged into our door lock app. One button. That's all it took to reset the front door code. I replaced it with a new one only I knew. I changed the garage keypad. I disabled her app access to the security cameras, because I knew I'd need them later. I wasn't rushing. I took my time. I moved quietly, deliberately, like someone preparing for a storm that had already started inside the house. When I finished with the finances, I opened our shared phone plan account and removed her from authorized changes. I didn't cut her off completely, not yet. I just made sure she couldn't shut my phone down or lock me out of anything. Around 4:30, when the world outside was still dark, I went back upstairs. She was sprawled across the bed like nothing in her life could ever touch her. I stood there watching her for a long moment. Not because I still loved her in that soft way, no. I watched because I wanted to understand how someone could lie beside the person they promised forever to and still laugh at messages from another man. Her phone buzzed under her pillow. Twice. I stepped closer. She didn't wake. She trusted me that much. Or underestimated me that much. I didn't touch the phone, just noted the timing. At 4:37 a.m., someone thought she was awake. Someone expected her attention. Someone felt entitled to reach out to my wife before dawn. She shifted, muttered, "Just 5 minutes." In that sweet voice she rarely used for me anymore. I left the room before I did something emotional instead of strategic. I couldn't afford emotion now. At sunrise, I drove to my office downtown. I told my assistant to postpone every meeting and lock the door behind me. I sat with a blank notepad and wrote down every event from the last 3 months. Dates, excuses, inconsistencies, moments when she suddenly dressed like someone on a dating app. And the pattern formed quickly. It didn't take a detective to see she wasn't new to this. She was comfortable. Too comfortable. When the office opened at 8, I called a friend who worked in IT security. I didn't ask him to hack her phone. Not allowed, not legal, not necessary. I asked him to help me recover deleted messages from our cloud backups. The ones she thought she had erased. Her photos. Her shared locations history. The automatic sync she forgot we had set up on the tablet in the living room. The tablet she never touched. The one that mirrored her texts when connected to Wi-Fi. By noon, I had a file sitting on my desk with 6 weeks of conversations between her and someone named Jay, complete with dates, hotel receipts, and voice notes she probably thought vanished. I didn't rage. I didn't slam anything. I didn't cry. I just sat there reading the words my wife wrote to another man. Words she hadn't said to me in years. Words like, "He doesn't suspect anything," and "I'll tell him eventually," and "Men are replaceable. He'll get over it." That line hit me harder than any admission of cheating. Replaceable. She truly believed that. She believed she could betray me and still come home, roll her eyes, sip wine in my kitchen, and act like she couldn't be touched. I closed the file, leaned back in my chair, and finally understood. She didn't fear losing me. She feared losing comfort. That night, I'd take that comfort away, step by quiet step, not out of revenge, out of self-respect. I wasn't her replacement. I was her consequence. I left the tablet upstairs on the bed, screen dark, truth sleeping inside it like a coiled snake waiting for the right moment to strike. I showered, dressed, shaved, all with the same eerie calmness that had settled over me since the moment I finished reading everything. It felt almost out of body, like I was watching myself from the ceiling, seeing a man move with purpose after months of being juggled like a clown in someone else's circus. When I came downstairs, she was sitting at the kitchen island scrolling through her phone, hair in a messy bun, pretending she was just catching up on messages. What she was really doing was checking if any of her lies had slipped. Cheaters become paranoid actors. They rehearse expressions in their head, trying to look normal. She glanced at me, I might meet Leah for brunch later, she said, trying to sound casual. The same Leah who told her men were replaceable. The same Leah who typed, "OL, he's so clueless I can't breathe," in response to a photo of me taking out the trash at night. "Emicham," I said, tying my shoes. No reaction. No accusation. Nothing for her to push against. She hated that. She needed emotional friction to feel like she was still in control. When I gave her none, she shifted. "You're quiet," she said again. "Are you mad at me?" "I'm not mad," I answered. "Just thinking." "About what?" "About how people show who they are when they think no one's watching." I watched her face stiffen. Not enough for a stranger to notice, but enough for a husband who'd memorized every version of her smile. Inside, her stomach twisted. "Good." She stood up, reached for her purse. "Don't be dramatic," she scoffed. "I was just joking yesterday. You take things too seriously." And there it was, the minimizing, the little smirk, the tone that said I was the problem. She had no idea I'd watched the entire behind-the-scenes cut of her life the night before. She left the house around 10. I heard her car pull out of the driveway, the sound thinning into the distance. Once the house was silent again, I walked upstairs and took the tablet from the bed. The group chat icon blinked. New messages. I opened it. They were already replaying last night, gossiping like teenagers with nothing better to do. "How's hubby?" Leah wrote. "Still clueless." My wife replied, "He's in one of his moods, ol. Probably because I came home late. He'll get over it." Jen sent a laughing emoji. Marissa, "Girl, he's too boring to even think about it." I stared at their names, their little profile photos, their casual cruelty. It's one thing for a wife to betray you. It's another thing entirely to have an entire audience cheering her on. It's a special kind of violation. I tapped each message slowly, screenshotting everything, adding them to the folder. Then I scrolled further down to the thread with the guy, Brad. He had sent a message at 2:41 a.m. "Last night was fun. Same time next week." I didn't react. I didn't clench my jaw. I didn't swear. The calmness didn't break. If anything, it sharpened. I backed up the messages, organized them in a timeline. Every detail lined up like evidence in a courtroom. And then, in the quiet, something hit me hard. The realization that all of this, the screenshots, the lies, the jokes, wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was how ordinary she acted around me. How natural it had become for her to lie to my face while taking pictures of me doing normal things and calling them cute loser moments. She didn't just cheat. She erased the version of me that loved her. Around noon, my phone buzzed. A text from her. "Hey babe, brunch is taking longer than expected. Don't wait up for lunch. Love you." There were times when that sentence would have warmed me. Today it felt like reading a script from a bad actress. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened her group chat on the sync device. They were sending pictures of their food, laughing at inside jokes, posting memes about men who can't keep up. My wife sent one too. A meme that said, "When your husband thinks you're with the girls, but you're actually having a better time elsewhere." A winking emoji. Leah replied, "Stop." Marissa, dead face with tears of joy. The level of disrespect wasn't just high, it was Olympic. And yet they still had no idea I was in the room with them, reading everything they typed. It was like watching a live stream of their downfall before they knew it had begun. I spent the afternoon cleaning the house, vacuuming, wiping countertops, folding laundry. Something about doing quiet chores while holding explosive truth felt symbolic. A storm humming beneath an ordinary day. Around 4, her car pulled back into the driveway. I watched from the window as she stepped out, smiling at her phone, probably at a message from him. She walked in, removed her shoes, stretched, then kissed the air near my cheek. Not on it, near it. "Brunch was good," she said. "We talked forever." "I'm sure you did." She didn't hear the edge in my voice, or maybe she did and chose to ignore it. Both are predictable behaviors. She went upstairs. I stayed downstairs, waiting, listening. At one point I heard her laugh, genuine, bright, private. The kind of laugh I hadn't heard directed at me in months. probably reading something from the same group chat she used to call me a clown. After a while, she came back down in leggings and a loose sweater, hair still in that messy bun. She curled up on the couch like a woman with a clean conscience. "Movie night?" she said sweetly. She had no idea her entire world was a glass bowl in my hands. "Maybe later. I've got something to finish first." She shrugged, scrolling on her phone again. She always lived on that device. That's why she never expected the tablet to betray her before she betrayed me. I walked upstairs again, sat on the bed, and opened the group chat. My thumb hovered over the message bar. Not yet. Not until the timing was perfect. Comedy, revenge, and justice, each requires precise delivery. At 7:14 p.m., while she laughed at something on TV downstairs, a new message popped up in the chat. "Ladies, next Friday hotel night?" Leah typed. My wife answered, "Yes, but let me think of an excuse first, lol. Last time I almost slipped." I stared at the words until they burned into my vision. Not anger, not jealousy, just pure, final clarity. If she wanted to slip, I would give her the biggest fall of her life. But quietly, elegantly, a man doesn't need to raise his voice to bury someone. I drafted a message in the group chat. A message they would read the next morning when they were awake, comfortable, overconfident. I didn't send it, just saved it. Let it sit there like a loaded chamber waiting to fire. Downstairs, I heard her call out, "Babe, you coming?" "Soon," I said. I stood up, looked at the tablet one more time, and exhaled slowly. Tomorrow morning, her entire group would learn my side. But tonight, silence was my weapon, and I planned to use it well. I barely slept that night, but unlike the previous one, this time it wasn't from shock or heartbreak. It was from strategy. Every hour or so, I'd wake up, check the time, and picture the exact moment her group chat would light up with the message I had crafted. At 3 a.m., she rolled over and draped an arm across my chest, breathing softly like someone who believed she was sleeping beside a man still blind. I stared at the ceiling, listening to her breathe, feeling nothing. Not love, not hate, just distance. Like she had become a stranger who accidentally fell asleep in my house. By the time dawn broke, I was already awake, sitting at the edge of the bed with the tablet balanced on my knees. The folded message sat in the chat window like a live grenade waiting for a thumb. I didn't send it yet. Timing wasn't just important, it was everything. Cheaters love mornings. That's when they send their "good morning babes" to the guy they're cheating with, when they text their friends about what excuse they'll use for the day, when they wrap themselves in the illusion that no one sees them. I wanted to hit them right in that window, when their guard was lowest and their arrogance highest. At 7:32 a.m., an alarm on her phone went off. She groaned, stretched, rolled over, and checked her notifications. I watched her unlock her phone, scroll through messages she didn't know I had already seen in full-color clarity. She typed something quickly, probably to her friends, and then sighed dramatically. "Ugh, I'm exhausted," she said. "I might cancel plans tonight." Plans. Another lie dressed up as normal conversation. I didn't respond. She went to shower, humming lightly, steam seeping out from the bathroom door. I sat on the bed and opened the group chat on the tablet. They were awake. Leah, morning lady's face blowing a kiss. Jen. Brunch was so good yesterday, Marissa. We still laughing at your husband's stories, LMAO, my wife. LMAO, stop, loudly crying face. He walked around like a lost puppy this morning, Leah. Girl, he always looks like that. The smirking emojis followed like little fingerprints of their arrogance. Perfect. My thumb hovered over send, but I didn't press it. Not yet. Let them relax into their laughter. Let them pile their disrespect high. I closed the tablet and went downstairs. She joined me in the kitchen 10 minutes later, hair damp, face fresh, wearing that oversized sweatshirt she used to steal from me back when we still liked each other. "You okay today?" she asked, pouring cereal. "You've been off." "Just tired," I said. "Thinking." "About what?" she insisted, voice tightening. "About how truth always shows itself eventually." She paused mid-chew, blinked twice. That hit her. Good. Guilt has a radar. She swallowed hard, then forced a laugh. You're being weird. Did something happen? Something always happens, I said quietly. We just don't always notice it in the moment. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Cheaters hate ambiguity. They want clear markers so they can adjust their lies. I gave her none. Around 8:10 a.m., she grabbed her purse. I'm meeting the girls later, she said. We're planning next Friday. I almost laughed at how bold she was. She kissed my cheek lightly and left. The door closed. Silence returned. And I finally exhaled. It was time. I sat at the kitchen table, opened the tablet, and watched the group chat in real time. They were now sending TikToks making fun of clingy husbands. My wife sent one too. A man crying while his wife goes out. This reminds me of him, she typed. He gets sulky when he doesn't get attention, lol. Leah, LMAOO Marissa. Girl, stop skull, you're gonna make me spit my coffee. That was enough. I opened the photo album, selected the screenshots, chose the sequence, the one that told the story without me adding a single word. Cheaters always defend themselves against interpretation. But facts bury them. I dragged the entire folder into the chat. My thumb hovered over send. One breath in, one breath out. Click. For a moment, nothing happened. The files uploaded slowly, one by one, each message sending with a gentle swoosh. Her message thread with the other man. The hotel booking receipts. The selfies she took in bathrooms that weren't ours. The messages where she mocked me. The ones where they all laughed at me. The ones where she planned her next wine night that was really a hotel night. Dozens of screenshots. A complete timeline of her betrayal. I didn't add text. I didn't add commentary. I didn't add anger. Truth speaks loudest when delivered without narration. Then I locked the tablet, placed it on the table, and waited. First silence. Then the chat began to explode. Leah, WTF, is this Jen? Is this a joke? Marissa, hello? My wife. What is that? Who put that in here? Leah, Emily, answer. Now. My wife. This isn't funny. Who did that? They had no idea I was watching. They had no idea I was sitting in the quiet of my kitchen, drinking coffee, while their panic spilled across the screen. Then it happened. The moment I had been waiting for. My wife left the group chat. She didn't even type. She just left. The ultimate digital scream. Seconds later, I heard tires screech in the driveway. She burst into the house, breathless, eyes wide, hair still stuck to her face from rushing. What did you do? She yelled. What did you send them? I took a sip of my coffee. The truth. You ruined my friendships. Do you hear me? You ruined everything. No, I corrected her calmly. You ruined everything. I just delivered it to the audience you were performing for. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the man in front of her. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she only knew the version of me she mocked in group chats and laughed about at brunch. Not this version. Not the one who had picked up the pen and reclaimed the narrative. You had no right, she whispered. Neither did you, I said. But here we are. She paced the room like a trapped animal, checking her phone every 2 seconds, seeing the fallout she had created with her own hands. I can explain, she said shakily. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think, I interrupted. And exactly what you did. She froze, and in that tiny, sharp silence, something inside her cracked. That was the first moment she realized the joke had finally turned back on her. And the punchline hadn't even landed yet. The day wasn't over. Not by a long shot. She stood in the middle of the living room like a person who had walked into the wrong life by mistake. Hair messy from rushing, chest rising and falling too fast. Her phone lighting up with message after message she didn't dare open. The bravado was gone. The smirks were gone. Even the fake outrage had drained out of her face. What was left was the expression of someone who finally realized she wasn't the one pulling the strings anymore. Can we talk? She whispered. Not demanded. Not snapped. Whispered. Talk, I said. She swallowed hard. I messed up. Okay. I messed up really bad. But you didn't have to humiliate me. Humiliate you? I repeated, letting the words sit there in the air. You were laughing at me in group chats with women I've fed. I've helped move apartments I've bought Christmas gifts for. You were joking about me like I was some stray dog you pitted. You photographed me doing normal things and posted them to your little comedy club. You let them laugh at your own husband. Her eyes filled with tears. Not the soft kind that come from regret, but the frantic kind that appear when someone realizes their social world is crumbling. They're texting me non-stop, she said, voice trembling. They're asking what happened. They think I'm disgusting. They're saying they can't believe Good, I said. They finally see you the way you've been acting. She wiped her cheek aggressively, as if the tears offended her. So what now? What now? I echoed. You want to talk about what now? She nodded, chest tightening. I stood, slowly, calmly. She flinched at my movement. Not because I'd ever laid a hand on her, but because calm men terrify guilty people more than anger ever could. Now, I said, you face what you created. You wanted an audience? You got one. You wanted to perform your betrayal? I just gave your show a finale. She ran a shaking hand through her hair. I was stupid, she said. I don't know why I did any of this. I don't know what I was thinking. It was attention, okay? I liked the attention. I liked feeling seen. You were seen, I said. Just not in the way you think. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she whispered. It just happened. Nothing just happens, I replied. A single lie is an accident. Months of planning, hotel rooms, excuses, mocking, group jokes, that's a pattern. A lifestyle. A choice you made every day. She pressed her palms against her eyes. I can fix this. I can talk to them. I can. You can't fix anything, I said. The truth is already out, and people don't unsee the truth. Ever. She sat on the couch, shaking. I didn't sit beside her. I didn't touch her. I didn't offer comfort. Comfort is for people who respect you, not for people who spent months laughing behind your back like you were disposable. So that's it, she said. You're just done with me? No, I said. I'm past done. I'm finished. She looked up sharply. What does that mean? It means I'm walking away without a scene. The same way you walked away from our marriage without a thought. She opened her mouth, closed it again, then whispered, Do you hate me? No, I said. Hate takes effort. I just don't care anymore. Those words hit her harder than the screenshots, harder than the group chat exposure. Indifference is the coldest truth a cheater can face. She broke. Not in a dramatic movie-style collapse, but in a real, quiet unraveling. Shoulders trembling, breathing uneven. A woman realizing she laughed her way out of the only good thing she ever had. I let the silence stretch until it felt like the walls themselves were listening. Where do we go from here? She finally asked. I don't go anywhere with you, I said. You'll pack your things. You'll stay with one of your friends. If any of them will even pick up your call today. You're kicking me out? Her voice cracked. I'm asking you to leave, I said. There's a difference. One involves anger. The other involves clarity. Clarity? She echoed. Yes, I said. The clarity that comes when a man finally stops trying to hold together something that the other person has already burned. She didn't speak, didn't protest, didn't yell. She knew she didn't have the moral ground to stand on. She just nodded slowly, then shakily stood and went upstairs. I listened to drawers open and close, the quiet sound of her packing the life she took for granted. When she came down with 2 bags, she looked smaller somehow. Like the version of herself she performed for her friends had evaporated. She walked to the door, paused and whispered, I never thought you'd be the one to make me feel this way. I didn't make you feel anything, I said. Your consequences did. She opened the door, stepped outside, and turned back one last time. Are you going to tell people? People already know, I said. The ones who matter. She closed the door. The sound echoed through the house differently than usual. Lighter, cleaner, like something toxic had finally exited. The silence that followed wasn't heavy anymore. It was peaceful. I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and sat down at the table. The same table where I'd read her betrayal. The same table where I chose my response. The same table where I refused to let someone else write my story for me. I opened the tablet one last time. The group chat was dead silent now. No jokes, no laughing emojis, no memes about boring husbands. Just a landscape of read receipts and ghost town emptiness. The place where they once laughed at me had become a graveyard of their own arrogance. I didn't type anything else. I didn't need to. I closed the app, powered off the tablet, and set it aside like something that had finished its job. Then I stepped outside, breathed in the cool morning air, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Freedom. Real freedom. Not the dramatic kind. The quiet kind. The kind that settles into your bones when you finally stop carrying weight that was never yours to hold. And as I stood there, watching the sunlight creep across the driveway she had just left, one clear thought settled in my mind. She made me the punchline. But in the end, she became the story. If you want more stories like this, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what comes next.